Stargirl Caraway, a young girl from Mika who loves nothing more than her ukulele and pet rat, is getting ready for the biggest transition of her life. Together with her mother, Anna Caraway, she is moving to Hollywood. Understandably enough, however, she's not so thrilled about it at all. As she expresses it to Anna, she would have preferred to finally settle somewhere. As Anna calls it, she thought adventures were fun for her daughter, but Stargirl doesn't regard frequent moving as an adventure. To her, getting to know people for real is what true adventure entails, and furthermore, she needs a stable home, a safe, grounded space from which her adventures will begin. Now that her daughter's perspective is fully expressed, Anna promises that they will stay in California for a while. This summer will be full of exciting new things. The first exciting new thing, of course, is the nicest house Stargirl has ever lived in. Here we learn why this small family decided to immerse themselves in such a great change. As it turns out, Anna has had a big break in her career. She is starting a job as a costume designer for a movie. The woman who shows them around their new house, Daphne, points out that her two kids, who are about the same age as Stargirl, are making a movie of their own as well. The next morning, Remy and Stargirl and Cinnamon, go exploring the area. The people here are interesting, all right. After her first time driving a bus and getting her mind blown by its coolness, she visits Anna at work and gives her a nice surprise. As it turns out, however, it is not the best time for a visit. The director, Daniel, is about to come inside and ask Anna if she has anything prepared already. He seems to hate rats and weird names, so naturally, his meeting with Stargirl isn't the nicest thing to watch. The rest of the day is quite lonely for Stargirl. Singing her sadness away, however, she gives that loneliness a flicker of meaning. Stargirl seems to have an unquestionable talent. She is able to get lost in music and dive into something bigger than herself. Once the song and dance are over, Evan, Daphne's son, starts throwing pebbles at her window. He overheard her singing and just wanted her to know that his mind was completely blown away by how good her music was. He seems like a nice guy. And by the way, he likes cool names such as Stargirl as well. Since there is a lot of distance between them at this moment, they have to raise their voices. They have no idea yet, but their loud talking has just unleashed a monster living downstairs. It is Mr. Mitchell, a grumpy old man with a high-pitched, rough voice, who storms out of her house to let them know that he exists and that he just won't have two happy young individuals speaking loudly under his watch. It is because of his factor that Stargirl is forced to go downstairs to continue talking with Evan. Here, the young man lets her know about the main reason why he started throwing rocks at her window. He wants her to participate in his and his brother's movie. He can see it very clearly. Stargirl is a perfect candidate for it. The movie is just a short one, aimed at showing the importance of telling one's story and finding one's path. It showcases a young man who is lost and on a quest to find his calling. Trying out many different things, nothing sticks, however, until he meets a girl who forces him to understand something much deeper about himself. The relationship that is formed between them makes him realize that he must stop doing things that he thinks other people want him to do. To be closer to this girl, he must encourage and grow the most unique parts of himself. Stargirl's character will have her own story to tell too. She will have to leave in the end. Stargirl is a little scared to say yes, but she likes the idea very much. At this moment, Evan lets her know that his brother works at a club that has an open mic on Wednesdays. She should come to hang out. Stargirl is, of course, thrilled to come. This is exactly what Stargirl wanted. Naturally, she wants to share it all with Anna the next morning, but the woman is so anxious about her new job that she fails to listen. As it turns out, her new boss, the director, is a real jerk. Later that afternoon, Stargirl tries to make friends with the grumpy Mitchell, but the noise patrol just won't be nice. The capacity for warm interactions seems to have been out of his system for a very long time now. Anna and Stargirl visit a flea market in the next scene. This is the first time they are hanging out after moving to Hollywood, and naturally, the young girl is excited to do all sorts of things. Unfortunately, however, her mother's new job is extremely demanding. Once Anna receives an unexpected call from the director's assistant, she is forced to go to work, even though it's Sunday. And so Stargirl spends that evening with Cinnamon at the beach. Here, where waves crash and rage, there are no grumpy old men who will tell her to stop. Speaking of the old grumpy men, Mr. Mitchell receives a beautiful gift from Stargirl that night. It is an ear cover. It is partially a joke, of course, so it is expected that the old man will frown and flip out, but instead, a glimpse of a broken smile is painted on his face. He will come around. Clearly, Stargirl has already found the way to his heart. The next evening, Evan visits Stargirl at home, meets Cinnamon, and reminds the young girl of the invitation to the club with an open mic. Stargirl didn't think it was already Wednesday, so she was pleasantly surprised and happy to go. She is happy to meet Terrell, Evan's older brother, as well. The club really is a wonderful place, but the young ones are not allowed to really go inside near the stage or at the tables. Once the owner of the bar finishes up his introduction and warms the stage for future performers, loud and unified cheering fills the entire hall. The community here is clearly great. Terrell wants to get to know Stargirl better and to hang out with the duo, but unfortunately for him, he is working here as a waiter. Very soon, Stargirl learns that anybody can just sign up and perform here, so in the next scene, she is the one standing on the stage. Being the nicest friend ever, she dedicates this song to Evan and sings without any music in the background. Her pure voice is so penetrating that very soon, mouths are left wide open and eyes start popping out of their frames around the hall. Soon the audience sings along too, and once it's all over, a standing ovation erupts from every corner of the room. The brothers Evan and Terrell are completely speechless. As the waiter says, even table 6 liked it. Perhaps this is why Terrell is over the moon with happiness when he hears that Stargirl is ready to commit to their movie. They are all hugging and screaming out of excitement, when suddenly, the young girl notices something very surprising. The customer on table number 6 is none other than Roxan Martel. Obviously, the boys have no idea who Roxan Martel is. It is when Stargirl starts telling her tale that the owner of the club comes up to her. He liked her performance as well, of course, but he would still hate to get arrested for letting the underaged hang out at the bar, so he let them go. And so, the kids are thrown out, but the night isn't over yet. After the club, they get some ice cream and sit down on a ridge overlooking the city. There is silence between the two at this moment, but there is no awkwardness to this silence. The two are clearly attuned to one another. Reading the script the next morning, Stargirl realizes that it's the greatest thing she has ever read. It's so great that her body reacts to it on its own, and she knows the perfect song for it as well. LA is simply supernatural, not including the old grump downstairs, of course. The song Stargirl wants to sing in the movie is Roxanne Mitchell's, but the problem is that her songs are not on the internet. As it turns out, the artist has put out only one album, and then just disappeared from the radar forever. Thankfully, however, Stargirl has a cassette of her album, so the only thing left to do is to find something that can play it. Fortunately, Terrell's old beat-up car can do it, so, in the next scene, the boys show just how perfect the song is for their movie. As it turns out, Table 6 is really good, but getting her permission is going to be really tough. Stargirl tries to do it in the next scene. Entering the club building, she finds Roxanne alone at the piano, playing a solitary, somber tune. She seems to be an individual whose life is sunk in sadness. Surprisingly, however, after hearing Stargirl's compliment, she explodes in laughter. Once the girls get to the bar, Stargirl buys her a drink and lets her know again just how much her album means to her. As Roxanne says, her mother must have lived in LA in the 90s, because that's the only place you could get it. She compliments her singing too. And so, as is obvious, their interaction starts out great, but unfortunately, the woman shoots a dry, cold no when Stargirl asks her for permission to use her song for their sizzle reel. As it turns out, there is nothing she can do to make her reconsider, feeling that she will not get another and better chance, and furthermore because she is kind of angry at her idol at this moment, Stargirl asks her why she quit. As expected, the answer is silence. That night, the young girl visits her mother at the movie set. She would give everything for a few minutes of private time with her, but Anna seemed to be drowning in work. Who is not drowning at work, however, is Mr. Mitchell, the nicest individual on the planet. Jokes aside, he actually had a nice conversation with Stargirl the next morning. As he says, he used to be a producer once but stopped because he went out of fashion. No one, not even his son, is interested in him now. In this moment, Stargirl gets a glimpse into the deeper layers of the old man's mind. Later that day, Stargirl and the brothers get to work. After meeting their father, George, and after observing one of the most romantic public displays of affection between him and Daphne, she finds herself alone with the ashamed brothers. She comes up with an idea then. What if they made their own song? This is a great idea, of course, and it is picked up by Evan immediately. But the old man can't help but think that it is not going to work. They need a piano for that, and the only person who can give it to them has just turned down their offer in the coldest fashion ever. Still, in the next scene, the trio gives it a shot. They do not expect an immediate agreement, but surprisingly enough, the woman lets them have it. She likes the fact that Stargirl is about to create something on her own and steer away from making covers for a while. In fact, as she soon reveals, this was exactly the reason why she said no to her earlier. She knew she could do it. The songwriting process is tough, but very soon, the kids manage to come up with a good enough frame. The music is sad but inspiring. As Roxanne says, however, it lacks some zing. It needs percussion, and it needs a good recording studio. Thankfully, she knows some people in LA. This was definitely not something the trio expected. Now they have a professional singer-songwriter by their side. And so, everything is just going perfectly. As the trio gets closer and closer to each other, and as the relationship between Evan and Stargirl continues to grow, a perfect song is recorded. Soon the trio will start filming some shots for the sizzle as well. Just like their characters, they are young and confused in the face of endless possibilities. But at this rate, they will surely figure it out as they go. In the next scene, Roxanne decides to answer Stargirl's question about why she quit. Telling her story, she underlines just how tough it was to leave her family as a young individual, and how relieving it was to meet artists around LA and finally find her place among them. After recording her first album in this exact studio, however, she realized that nobody wanted it. She failed, and she didn't love herself enough to be okay with this failure. And so she changed her path and became a producer. Money started flowing in, and it all got to a point where she was even able to save Fort, the club where Stargirl performed earlier. For years, she would hang out there in search of inspiration, but it didn't come until she met Stargirl. The young one has helped her understand something very important. It means that one can live one's dream without even realizing it. That night, Mr. Mitchell gives Stargirl something extremely wonderful. As it turns out, he noticed the kids recording their pictures with an iPhone earlier, so he decided to give them his 16mm film camera. It shoots only film. It's a complete dinosaur, but it's a monster. Stargirl is past the moon from happiness. During the rehearsal the next morning, we learn that there is going to be a kiss between Evan and Stargirl at the end of the music scene. It is not rehearsed yet, but the anticipation of it is painted on both faces. Later that afternoon, Stargirl finally gets some private time with her mother. Speaking about Roxanne, Anna points out how her music helped her go through the toughest part of her life. When the evening comes, Stargirl is forced to return the film camera to its owner. As it turns out, they do not have any money to buy the film, and then develop it. Fortunately for them, Mr. Mitchell is now the nicest individual on the planet, so instead of taking it back, he insists that the young ones sell it and use the money to buy anything they need for their picture. And so, that night, with a tiny bit of better equipment, they recorded the music scene. The kiss at the end of it is supposed to last for only a couple of seconds. Everything goes great, Terrell says. All start celebrating, but the couple in the middle of the road is still engaged in a warm, gentle kiss. They just can't get enough of each other's lips, and the gravity of the moment seems to deafen them well. When they break away, everybody already knows that there is a flicker of really deep emotion between them that will soon turn into a great bonfire. The next morning, there is a neighborhood dinner held in the courtyard of Stargirl's building. After expressing her gratitude towards Mr. Mitchell, she lets him know about what they did with the money and calls him their producer. The celebration goes great, but the most difficult thing is still in the future. They have to send their sizzle reel out to film studios. It can immediately be rejected, but all that matters for the trio at this moment is that they did it and had a lot of fun in the process. These are only words, however. Once the rejection messages start pouring in, happiness becomes much more difficult. In the next scene, Evan and Stargirl watch a movie at Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Walking between the rows of long-deceased artists, the nicest, most romantic place for young people to have a date, Stargirl shares some ideas she has for the closing scene of their movie. It is a humming tune that resembles the flow of the ocean. They have already kissed one another for the movie, but at this moment, Evan feels an urge coming from deep inside to kiss her again for real. She asks her permission for it in the nicest way possible, and once the permission is given, she steps forward and leans towards her lips. Holding hands during the movie and talking about their past relationships afterward, the couple draws nearer to each other and learns more about the intricate details of each other's lives. The two are traveling together when suddenly Terrell calls to let them know of extremely surprising and abhorrent news. As it turns out, one producer saw their picture, and she is interested in meeting all three of them. Their happiness is immeasurable, of course. Jumping up and down, they imagine what it would be like to finally start working on the full film, but they have no idea that an even bigger surprise is waiting for them tomorrow. During the meeting with the producer, they were told that $1 million could be secured for their movie. $1 million. This is even more than Terrell's biggest dream. Priya Collins, the producer responsible for this enormous happiness, cannot wait to start working with the young ones. And Stargirl cannot wait to share it all with Anna. But as it happens again, Anna has something important to share as well. Just as before, the nature of their news is the opposite. All Stargirl expected before stepping through the door was the inflamed, enlarged happiness that comes after sharing your joy with an important person, but what Stargirl receives is fresh, cold water over the fires of her delight. As it turns out, her movie got shot down. The news is sudden and devastating. At first, Stargirl takes the news well, but soon, another part of this quick shift is unveiled to her. Anna has already found a new job, and as always, it is in a different city. They will have to move again. Expectedly enough, a heated argument arises between the mother and the daughter. Stargirl just cannot fathom the notion of moving again, especially now when she's so happy and fulfilled here. Naturally, the issue isn't resolved at this moment. Soon the boxes are placed in front of the young girl's door to fold her stuff inside. The dreadful process of moving begins once more, and no mellow, sorrowful song can soothe the pain in Stargirl's heart. In the next scene, she eats some ice cream with Terrell when the young man lets her know of something very important. To tell the truth, Stargirl must already know this, but it is the first time she hears it from somebody else. For Terrell, this movie is about his own success and his own development in the field of the arts. He makes this movie because of the fire burning deep inside his heart, but for his brother, the purpose is something completely different. He participated in making this movie for Stargirl. Throughout these last few days, she has become his main meaning, and he knows he will be devastated to hear about the news. He will, of course, say goodbye though. Later that day, Stargirl meets with Mr. Mitchell as well. While eating some cakes together, the old man lets her know about the role she played in his life. He would have never anticipated this, but the arrival of this little girl has changed his entire perspective on life and himself. Weirdly enough, Stargirl seems to have had the same effect on this old man as her character did on the lead of Terrell's movie. Before the two say goodbye, she wants to hear a piece of advice from this grumpy old man. Mr. Mitchell has a great one. She should never force herself to carry the burden of regret. A short time later, she enters her home. Her face was all bleak in the presence of her mother, who had sunk her ship that was flying towards a bright future. Perhaps she even endeavors to remain silent like this for a while, but at this moment, Anna immerses herself in such a warm monologue that Stargirl finds herself drawing towards her mother with love instead of bitterness. The woman underlines just how grateful she is for Stargirl, just how much she loves and values her, and just how much she regrets the mistakes that she made. She has failed once again here, but knowing that the most important thing in her life, her daughter, is such a wonderful, perfect individual, desperation still harbored far away from her. In this moment of honesty and love, Stargirl finds out that there was one time when her mother tried out acting in LA. Unfortunately, back then she failed dramatically, and since she was alone, she left LA without trying it again. This time, however, she is not alone. She has it, and she must try again and again until she finally manages to get her dream job. This is no longer about her career. It is about not being a slave to your failures. As Stargirl promises, if Anna quits her new job and starts looking for acting jobs here in LA, she will be by her side every step of the way. And if she is turned away again, it will be okay, because they are going to be together. The weight of the bitterness that comes after defeat will be shared among the two and become as light as a feather. Evan is all swamp and graveyard in the next scene. Pained out of his mind from the devastating news, he leans on a wall in the club, waiting for the next performer idly, when suddenly he sees something extremely unexpected. Stargirl and Roxan appear on stage together. After emphasizing the way this new girl made her turn around from the raggedy path of avoidance she took many years ago, she steps aside and leaves the mic for Stargirl for a while. The young girl shares with the audience the unexpected story of how she managed to find a home in this community. And then, as Anna listens to her as well, she says something that sounds better than any song to Evan's ears. She says that they will be staying here for good. Tears come to Anna's eyes as she hears her daughter sing. Bodies start dancing on their own, and all the fireworks of joy go off in Evan's mind when, at the end of it all, the girl he loves the most jumps down from the stage to give him the kiss of his dreams. Time flies by then, and we arrive at the set of Terrell's movie. As it turns out, everything has turned out well. There are still a lot of struggles to go through, but the main part of the adventure is already over. Home is already found, so now the pursuit of the big dreams can begin.